Hi everyone, my name is Kennedy Lein and I am the producer and host of the University of Iowa SJMC podcast. We talk about anything and everything with guests on this podcast, from anything and everything of School of Journalism and Mass Communication. So we're joined by amazing guests throughout this whole semester, and this is our first live episode, so bear with me with this one. But today I'm joined by Dr. Melissa Tully. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here. We're just going to be talking a little bit about One Day for Iowa and what it does for our students, as well as some little tidbits of personal advice and some fun too.
Awesome.
Alrighty, so like I said, this is Director Melissa Tully. Do you want to just explain a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Yeah, so I am the director of the School of Journalism and Mass Communication here at the University of Iowa. I am also a professor in the school. I've been at the University of Iowa since 2011, and I've been the director for the last couple of years. I teach classes on the undergraduate level on social media and multimedia storytelling, and on the graduate level, I teach research methodology and global media courses.
Awesome. Yeah, Melissa is involved in so much here at the School of Journalism and keeps everything in check here. And we're so grateful to have you be a part of everything that we do. And I'm excited to get into some of these questions right now. So we'll start with the One Day for Iowa segment. Why is One Day for Iowa so important?
Yeah, well, One Day for Iowa is so important for several reasons. One, it exposes the cool stuff that we do at the University of Iowa, not just in the School of Journalism, but also across campus. So if you're on social media today or on your email or just kind of looking around on Iowa platforms, you'll see so much amazing content and stories from across campus. So I think it's a really great way for the university to share its story and to also share the importance and the power of philanthropy. So One Day for Iowa is about, getting people involved in giving, small gifts, large gifts, any kind of gift, and also to show students and parents and other folks what this money and what these resources do. So it's a really great way to kind of share both the power and outcome of philanthropy, but also what it means to give and how you can think about, your own experience, either as like if you were a student here or a faculty member or whatever it is, like something that was really meaningful to you. And, you may not have even realized it, but it probably was touched by philanthropy. And so I think it's just a great way to do that. And I like all the little challenges and things. It makes it fun, it's sort of gamified giving as well. So for us, it's just a great opportunity to do things like this live stream, which I will say it was put together by staff and students and not by me. I just get to enjoy the awesome work that you guys are doing, and it just shows the kind of amazing things that students and staff and folks at Iowa do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of my own personal experience here at the University of Iowa has been touched by those donations and the philanthropy that we get to experience here at the University of Iowa. And I'm so grateful for those experiences. I mean, I've gotten to do this with our brand new podcast studio. I've gotten to have great breakfasts for the Student Advisory Board. Same with meeting faculty members for networking. Same with guests that come, meeting them for networking as well. And so a lot of what we do and what we get to do is through this day, which is why it is so important. And my next question for you is more down to the personal level. Why is it important to you?
It's important to me, well, for a couple reasons. One, I think the examples you just gave and the kinds of things, when students are walking around our halls and see a flyer, to go to Chicago on this trip, or to be hired as the next marketing intern, or to meet, this visiting professional, they may not realize that that's actually philanthropic dollars that are supporting that. I realize that, right? Because I get to be the person who says, in some ways, like how to spend our funds. But I also know how important it is. I myself, I'm a first-generation college student, so I know what it takes to like have to work in college, or not knowing about student loans or other things that can be stressful, not knowing can I do this can I study abroad, things like that if it was up to me, all students would get to do all of that without any cost. And so one thing that I've been spending a lot of my time doing and thinking about is how we can do that, how we can take this, these monetary gifts, the gifts of time. So you mentioned faculty and visitors, that's giving. people are coming back and giving their time, how we can expose our students to those opportunities and give them, you know, a chance to do things that, if it even costs a little money, you know, even if it wasn't a lot of money, but it could be a barrier. The more we can do to remove those barriers, the more we can open up opportunities to all of our students and give them chances just to try new things, is really important. So just knowing that from my own experience in college, and honestly getting in this role now as the director, getting to see how impactful these opportunities can be on our students, it just makes me, you know, makes me excited to want to keep pushing and promoting the kinds of things that we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we've mentioned before, we get amazing opportunities, and I know you mentioned something about the trips that students get to go on as one of the donation uses that we get to do here. What are some other specific examples of what some students have gotten to do with donations from One Day for Iowa?
Yeah, so like the big ones, you know, if you think about stuff like trips and places like those are very obvious in some ways, because it's like, okay, yeah, I didn't have to pay for my flight or my hotel room or whatever. But I think the smaller things people don't realize, like the student center. So the student center, which is, you know, upstairs on the 3rd floor, you guys are all spend time there all the time. It's very active. It's a really important place in our school for community. You know, it's where students can come and study and hang out. The way we staff the student center with peer mentors and other folks like that, that's using philanthropic dollars to pay those student salaries. The snacks, the coffee and the snacks that we provide, you know, so that's all funding that we're able to put towards those little things, right? That's not a huge, you know, it may not seem huge, but to someone who maybe didn't have breakfast or is really, really busy and doesn't know if they have time to, you know, make it back to their dorm or apartment and they can jump on one of our computers or, you know, have a coffee. I think those little things are great. Our speed networking as well, which brings professionals to campus. That is part of, well, those folks are giving their time for free, but, you know, to be able to set it up and do all of that. So any kind of extra opportunity that we have in our school is typically touched in some way by philanthropy. It may not be fully funded by donor support, but it's usually touched in some way. Our student org, so if you're in a student org that's affiliated with the School of Journalism, we have money that we put aside to give to those student orgs. Our scholarships, so our scholarships are huge. This year we're giving away over $300,000 in scholarships, which is a massive number, and we just want to keep being able to do that. So those are the items that come to mind, you know, kind of immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can tell you there's maybe all handful of those specific examples that you just gave that touch my own life. I mean, scholarships, the student center, I sit in the student center probably, 5 hours of my day every day? So I utilize those free snacks. Same with all the events I've gotten to go to, the student advisory board. My own job is funded by some of the things that we get to, some of the donations here today as well. And so it's really important to all students, and I think that's really important for the audience to hear as well, as what we're creating here at the School of Journalism is so important, but it's detrimental that we get some of these donations to help support that stuff that we get to do. So I know we mentioned a lot of the fun segments that are happening today. One of them is a band, or from the faculty, a faculty like band performance or whatever. That's my personal favorite. I'm really excited for that one, but I'm wondering if you have any fun like segments that are happening today, that did happen today.
That did happen, yes. So I've been able to be here, and I was here in the morning, and I've been able to watch throughout the day, so it was really fun. As I said, I didn't know the run of show for today because Jake Mayer, you know, really led this and the students, and so it was fun. I put on the stream upstairs. I was like, oh, there's Jeff, you know, oh, there's Jen. So it's been awesome to see the faculty and students together talking about their experience, because I think that is something that's also special, is when we have opportunities for our community, it also forges bonds between the faculty and the students, and we know that's really important for student success. So it was really fun to see them appear on the feed. I like watching the little thermometer go up. That's fun as well. just being in here and seeing what folks aren't seeing, all the behind the scenes. So seeing the students behind the camera, seeing them on the board, seeing them kind of running around, problem solving as the day goes on. Uh-oh, this isn't, the audio's not coming on, or what it might, this or that. Those are the kinds of hands-on and real world experiences that have been really, I talk about all the time with people. And so to see it was cool. We kicked off the morning after my introduction with Jason Brumman from the DI and Jamie and Joel, and they spent some time talking about the community newspapers and the acquisition of those community papers by the Daily Iowan. That's probably been one of the most exciting ventures that we've taken on in the last year, just over a year. So it was fun to see that come up as well. So it's just been a great day to kind of see what I know that is happening, but hear it from the students and hear it from the faculty. One thing that I didn't say earlier, but I definitely want to make sure I mention, is that our faculty obviously are central to our mission, right? And so we also are able to support their research and their creative endeavors and their professional development through philanthropy. Mm-hmm. So that's incredibly important. If they need to travel for a conference or to do research or to create their work, they need that opportunity too. And then they bring that back. They bring that back to the classroom. They bring that back to their graduate students. And so it's all interconnected. And seeing the faculty and students sit together up here reminded me that it's really an interconnected thing.
Yeah, I think from speaking from my personal experience, I have so many deep connections with a lot of my professors and faculty members here that I don't know if I would necessarily get in other programs or at another school, which I think has a lot to do with how much they care for their students and how much they want us to learn the best of the best. And I think you can kind of see that with the students running this today, that we have been taught well and we can perform a really good live stream for a really important event. And I think, it's so important and it's so great to touch on.
Yeah,
sure.
And what I always tell people, and I think today's an example of it, is that, Iowa's a Big Ten university, right? It's an amazing university, a large campus, vibrant, but when you're in the School of Journalism, you feel like you're part of a smaller college and university community, right? Because you do know your faculty members, you do know the staff, you do know the graduate students, and so it's like the best of both worlds because you're in a world-class research institution. You can walk down the street and go do biochemistry. There's all of those opportunities, but when you're here in our school and getting to know our faculty, you do know them, and that's really cool. I think that's a special thing about SJMC, and seeing this effort today shows me that, I'm just so proud that the people are just they're doing this. They took on this cool challenge, and that to me is a reflection of the kind of training students had, but also the willingness to just try something new. Yeah. And I love that. I think that sense of let's give it a go is really, really important in media industries in general, but just as a way to be don't be afraid. Try it out. Well, what's the worst that's going to happen? The microphone's not going to work, or you're not going to know how to read a teleprompter like me. It's okay. It's okay to have those experiences. That's why we do it, and that's just going to make you better and stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. And just going off of that, we're going to head into our advice segment now. I think we have a time for a couple questions here, just kind of about your life. So what did you do as a college student to get this spot where you're at as the director of school?
Yeah, oh my. So I went to Boston College, so I'm originally from the Boston area. And I was a communication and English major. So as I mentioned earlier, I had to work, while I was in college. And so I actually worked in our, what would it be called there? Like the registrar type of office. So I worked on the catalog, but I got experience in the kind of the early days is when it was going from a print catalog to a digital catalog. I got experience with creating digital, kind of just old-fashioned digital content, and I got some opportunities to create some content for our Office of Admissions and Registrar, and that was a really cool thing to do. So it was an on-campus job, but it had some relations to the things I wanted to do, which again is something that I think is really still important. On-campus jobs are amazingly important, and so that was a great thing to do. And while I was in college, I did some other internships. I interned at local cable news. I interned at a B2B business magazine. So I did some of those professional types of things while I was a student. And then when I was graduating, getting into my senior year, thinking about what I wanted to do next, I actually realized that I wanted to go to graduate school and potentially continue on an academic path. So I went from Boston College to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I got my master's and PhD there. And I focused on a research degree. So my background is really in research and in global media studies. I do a lot of work in East Africa and on African media. And so from there, I came here. Yeah. And started out as an assistant professor, a tenure track assistant professor in 2011, and I've just been here ever since, kind of working my way through the tenure process, and now I'm here. But I never forget those moments, of being an undergrad and having to work and having to figure out how to apply for an internship and doing those things and not always knowing what I was doing. And so I think about that a lot, when I think about what we can provide to our students. I'm happy that sometimes it didn't work out, because I do think you have to learn how to take rejection and failure. But I think those kinds of opportunities that I had were so important, and so to kind of continue offering those.
Yeah, I think that's so important for everyone to hear, just because it's nice to know that our director is thinking about our students in this way and thinking back to when you were in that position as well, and how that felt for you, and then being able to give those students the same opportunities is so beneficial for them. But going back to your time, like you said, you started as an assistant professor. What has been your proudest or favorite moment from your time at the School of Journalism?
Oh, that's a hard one. I'm proud of several things. One, as I mentioned about my research, so my research is in kind of digital media. I do work on news literacy. I do work on African media, misinformation. So in my research, I'm proud of the kind of work that I've produced. I think it's had both impact in the scholarly community, and it has practical implications, but also the kinds of graduate students that I've been able to attract to come to Iowa. We have a really strong cohort of students from Africa, which I think is really cool and allows us to continue to do research in an understudied area. So our graduate students get to travel and do field work and other things. So I'm really proud of what we've built around global media and African media on the research front. On the sort of administrative side, some of you know, because some of you were there, last year was our 100th anniversary, and so I was very new in my position, and having to step in the 99th year and think about how we were going to celebrate 100 years and how important that was. I'm really proud of what we did last year, celebrating the 100 years of this school and thinking about the future. We had an amazing event on campus, but more importantly, we connected faculty, students, alumni, just in new and creative ways. I think the impact of that 100th anniversary will be felt for a long time. So I'm really, really proud of that. As something that, if you asked me last year at this time, we would have been getting ready for it. The staff will tell you, I just thought every day was Thursday because it was so hard to keep track. It was really stressful, but the way it came together and just how much people enjoyed and appreciated and still bring up that experience, I'm really proud of that. Yeah,
I will say, whenever I ask any student or faculty member what their favorite moment is, it's always the 100th year anniversary. I feel like I hear it all the time, and I think that shows that we did a really good job preparing for that. I was at the 100th year anniversary dinner, and it was probably one of my favorite moments of my collegiate career as well, just being able to connect with all of these alumni that have amazing careers and be able to speak with them about my future and what I wanted to do was just so beneficial for me. But I also it was my first time seeing faculty, staff, everyone outside of school. So it was also fun getting to just talk to them on a personal level as well about those things that you don't really get to talk about usually, or talking to them about classes or what's next for a project. And so that was also really cool to just be able to experience. So I think, yeah, it goes to show how important that event was, not only to alumni, faculty, staff, but also the students. And I'm so proud to be able to be a part of those years as well at the School of Journalism.
And I think what you said about the faculty, you know, I'm also really proud of the faculty that we have and the culture that we've built in the school. So the fact that the faculty support each other, support the students, you know, are willing to come on and sit on, you know, be on stage here, you know, throughout the day. I think our faculty, again, as I said, they're so important to what we do, and appreciating them as full people, you know, as you mentioned. And I think that's another really cool thing, is I do think in SJMC, like, we do appreciate kind of the whole person and the whole experience, and we want people to know that there's more to life, you know, and having fun at a party is also a good thing.
Yes. Yes, for sure. All right, my next then question for you is, do you have a favorite moment of this year, 2024-25?
Ooh, okay. So this year so far, what's been really cool? We have a couple big things coming up, so they might end up topping off, but I'll go back to the fall and say the homecoming celebration, to keep the 100th year theme alive. In fall 24, we did some celebrations around homecoming, and we walked in the parade, and we had a really nice brunch tailgate celebration. That was, again, one of those opportunities to see people kind of in a different atmosphere, walking in the parade, celebrating the school. But the important thing there is that's also the community. And so we're walking down, the streets of Iowa City holding our, SJMC signs and America Needs Journalists, and wearing our Iowa SJMC shirts, and just reminding people that journalism is really important. Young people are doing journalism, doing strategic communication, getting into these careers like that. You all are the future. And so just to be able to participate in that and have folks cheer and see the work we do. And then we had some cool pictures that were featured on the Iowa main homepage. So that was another one of those really fun opportunities. We've also had really amazing professional opportunities for our students. I think folks were on earlier talking about the Chicago Sports Media Experience. That was our second year running that. But the second time you do something, it always levels up, and so it was really fun to see that. So those have been some special things. We have really cool stuff coming up. April's always busy for us, so this year, thankfully, we don't have to celebrate 100 years. 101's cool, but it doesn't get a gala. But we have our board coming into town. We do our Hall of Fame. We have Director Steve James coming into town, the director of Hoop Dreams. So we have some really cool things coming in the next couple of weeks. We have students from the Adler Agency getting to showcase their work with Bible and archaeology. So I always think of April as sort of the, we've all come out of the winter doldrum, like we're all like, ta-da. And so we get to showcase a lot of what we do in April. So keep checking our social and our feeds for what's coming up in April, because it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I'm so lucky to be able to get to be behind a lot of those things. As the social media marketing intern, I get to experience all of these kind of on a behind the scenes level, which has been really cool to experience. And then I also get to experience some of those things firsthand too, being a part of the different projects and lunches and all that jazz. And so, yeah, I would agree. April is such a fun time for our School of Journalism, and what a great way to kick it off with this live stream as well.
I did forget to say one big one. How could I forget? We have our student exhibition and scholarship event in April. So that's another one of those opportunities. Again, I'll give Michelle Silman, who's our internship and placement coordinator, all the credit. She had this idea, like, hey, our students do amazing work. We showcase it in some venues, but let's showcase it here, right here in AJB. So we have this amazing showcase of student work, and we recognize our scholarship recipients. And that's a really important part of our April celebrations, because again, students get to see each other succeed. They get to see their faculty in a different environment. They get to see oftentimes our donors come, and it's really, really cool. And so that's in a couple weeks as well. So I'm excited about that event.
Absolutely. And then we'll go into our final segment, which is something we do at the University of Iowa SJMC podcast every week. It's just a fun question to kind of end off the podcast. Because we talked so much about school, we kind of like to move away from it. So my question for you is, what's your favorite thing outside of school at the moment, and why?
Okay, so I really like basketball. So it's been, spring break was watching a lot of basketball, men's, women's, college. But I also like the NBA. As I said, I'm from the Boston area, so I'm a Celtics fan. So right now, it's probably watching basketball. In the winter, my daughter plays basketball, so going to her youth games. So kind of anything basketball related, which has been super, super fun. I love that. And then I like to, now that it's getting, even in the winter, the folks who work in the office can attest, I walk to work. I try to make sure I walk, I bundle up, but I'm excited to get out and walk my dog and just be outside. Looking forward to going on some hikes, doing things like that. So I'm really looking, and every day I look out the window and I'm like, okay, it's 7:08 and it's still light out. I'm looking forward to those longer days, being able to sit outside, have a happy hour, go for a walk, all of that.
Yeah, I feel like I'm talking to my mom right now. Yeah, she would probably have said that exact same answer. Basketball.
She can hang out. We can hang out.
Yeah. All right. Well, awesome. Yeah, I'm hoping the weather stays nice for you then, so you can keep doing all those things. Once again, my name is Kennedy Lein. I was joined by Director Melissa Tully for the live podcast for the SJMC department. Again, I am your host, and I will see you guys in a couple of weeks for our next episode. You can tune in on Spotify, Apple Music, and this should be on YouTube as well if you want to just watch this. So, all right, I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Thanks, Kennedy.
Thank you.